have a motion? Motion. Got a motion to approve. Was any deletions, corrections? I thought I might have had one. Let's see. No, it was on the other one. It was on the other one. Okay, no, I don't have one either. All right, so we have a motion from Brian. Do I have a second? I'll second. Motion to second. All in favor? All right, financial report. Mr. Carl?
Yeah, we got the check last month to reimburse for the Welcome Center expenditures. So right now in the DDA account, we've got $78,900, and in the fund to pay off the signage, there's $58,907. That's what's allocated to the signage. So
we still have a little money there.
Yep.
We're getting pretty close, all right?
Yeah.
Anything else from Carl? Any old business? We'll move on down to update on Welcome Center.
Y'all hear me? Well, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to come before you again. Mr. Michael.
How about that, Larry? And talk to you about a little bit about the Welcome Center. Tom's here with me, and we're going to kind of tag team you and give you an update on what's going on with the Welcome Center specifically. But just to kind of give you an overview of where we are in the city. When I was sitting back there waiting for the meeting to start, I came up with 38 projects that we're working on right now in the city, including the Welcome Center. And I've talked to a couple of you in the last week or so, and I will tell you that I'm not stopping the Welcome Center. I'll say that again. I've said it every opportunity that I get. That's a council decision. If the council decides to tell Mr. Barber to move forward with that, then that would be their option to do that. I do have some concerns about the project itself. As late as today, I haven't seen the construction plans. Now, someone may have those. Have any of y'all seen the construction plans?
We did look at them several months ago. Yeah. As far as I know, they're down here at the Main Street office.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at those. That's my fault. I should have done a better job, I guess, of following up on that. But some of the concerns that I've got, again, not against the Welcome Center. This would be any project that we're about to start on, is we don't have a person to be over that project right now. Since Chris left, I don't see anyone on staff that probably has that construction experience, with the exception of Bobby. And to pull Bobby off of the main issue that we have in town right now, which is low water pressure, and Kim lives in that district, so she can tell you what it is. But we have a serious condition in a couple of subdivisions here in the city with water pressure, and Bobby's working around the clock trying to get all the bid documents and everything done so we can take that out to bid. We did meet with, actually Tom met with the fire chief in Carroll County, and would have met with, Douglas County, and would have met with the fire chief in Carroll County, but he quit, he resigned. So Tim Padgett is the interim fire chief for Carroll County until that. So, but the short-term solution to the water pressure issue is going to be a tanker at some point that will be stationed in the areas that we feel like are undersized as far as water lines are concerned. But that is absolute priority, and I told Bill this the other day, Bill and I ate lunch the other day, is really there's two groups of projects. There's wants and needs. And until we get those needs taken care of, water pressure, public safety, those are number one. Until we get those addressed, nothing else happens as far as I'm concerned anyway. I don't even vote on the council, but that would be my wishes. The second problem that I have is, even if we had someone to be the construction superintendent, if you will, for that project, we don't have anybody to do the finances. And it's my desire, I know Carl has taken that on himself, and the DDA has done a good job of that, but I would like to have someone, an employee, to be over the finances on that, just to keep up with it. And that's nothing against Carl. Carl does a tremendous job, and this board does. But anybody that's kind of followed the situation with the library knows what happens when you get too many fingers in the pot. So, I want somebody, whether that's Sarah or that's Tom's call, but that person has not been designated yet. And I talked to Leslie McPherson today and told her that those are the two things really, as far as I'm concerned. that need to happen before we go any further with that Welcome Center. Because the last thing I want to do is end up spending untold amount of money on that Welcome Center because nobody was watching what was going on as far as the construction aspects of it and then the finance aspect of it. So that's my input as far as the Welcome Center. And Tom, if you want to come up, I'm going to get Tom to kind of get a little bit more specific on what we've got going on, and of course I'll be here to answer questions too. So.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I've been here 14 months now, and I think I'm hopefully nearing the end of the problem identification phase of what we're doing. We have all kind of issues that we're dealing with, and I could categorize them from a bunch of different perspectives probably, but one way, a simple way of looking at them is just to talk about the groups as they're related by function. So water and sewer is way, way, way our biggest problem. And we're in the situation that we are because of a number of factors that haven't been addressed still. But one of those factors was turnover in the manager's position and turnover in the department head level. The decision to outsource for a couple of years with Woodard and Kern and then come back in-house. Not doing GIS very well, not getting as-builts when we were having things built. But the more concerning part to me is not only do we not know because of all the knowledge we lost, but as we learn what's in the ground, it doesn't make sense. So I jokingly say, if you've ever seen the movie Holes with Sigourney Weaver and Shia LaBeouf, that's sort of what we've been doing to Bill Rick. Jimmy, on a day when he's not repairing a water leak, is going around digging up water line to see if what's in the ground matches what's on the maps, and then to see if it makes any sense, and a lot of times it doesn't. So we're not moving quickly through the process of making repairs to the whole system because it's not a system. It's a bunch of stuff that's all in the same city, but it doesn't work together. So I'll give you some examples of sort of the mayhem that's out there. So one of the things that was concerning when I got here was the fact that we had 4 water tanks, which wasn't apparently obvious to me why. And to give you an example, when I was in Fairburn, we have the same population as Villarica, and Union City is just north of us, and they have about a third more people, and we operated both those systems off of one tank. We have 4. So, in addition to that, one of the things that we deal with is the division that's created by 20. So we have a single water pipe that runs under the bridge on 61, but not at Liberty. So that makes having a system more difficult. But we compounded it by not making people loop anything. So when you look at a map of the water lines, you've just got dead ends running everywhere, which doesn't facilitate fire flow. So that's just on the water side. Sewer's just as bad. We built a plant, so you've got one big plant on the west side and one big plant, or one smaller plant on the east side, but nothing on the south side. So we have 31 pump stations in Villarica that pump uphill because we got to get everything on the 61 corridor over 20. And then Mirror Lake is handled by that small plant. So there's all kind of issues with that. Plus, we didn't maintain the lift stations, blah, blah, blah. So that's where my time and energy's been primarily. So what we've done since I've been here is we have issued a contract to design upgrades at the water plant. We've issued a contract to design a line extension out on Edge Road so that we can help one of the areas that doesn't have water flow. We're getting ready to we've issued another one to help us with the infiltration problem we have. So another issue that we have, the plant on the west side does about 1 million gallons a day, but when it rains, we do 2 million. So we're getting 1 million gallons of rain in the system. The Mirror Lake one does 300,000 a day, and it does 900,000 on a rain event. So one doubles and one triples. That's not good. So we got to identify as much of that as we can to make sense and bottle it up. And then the next one that we're doing is we need to upgrade the north plant because Mirror Lake is not built. You know, it was designed and then it stopped mid-stroke in the recession like everything else did. Well, it's coming back. So a couple of years ago, we didn't build anything. Last year, we did about 50 houses. This year, we're going to do a couple of hundred. And we're building everywhere. So all these incomplete neighborhoods, down 61, up at Reed Plantation, and then all in Mirror Lake, those are all coming back. So we've got to be ready for that with sewer, and we're not. And then we have a big development that's proposed down 61 that we're definitely not ready for. So that's sort of where my head's been significantly for 14 months. Only to discover 2 weeks ago that I've been working on the wrong problem. So 2 weeks ago I find out that our sewer system only crosses 20 twice. So you got 2 plants on the north side, no plants on the south side, so all the flow has to cross 20. The east one is okay. It's a force main out near Edge in Liberty, and it does okay, but the west one is a gravity line near Walmart and the post office on South Carroll, and it is only 8 inches in diameter. That's all of 61. And it's full. That line is full. So there's 3 pump stations that go to the manhole that goes to that pipe. And when one of them is pumping or none of them are pumping, then we're okay. But when 2 of them pump, we're filling up the manhole. So we can't grow. And as you can imagine, repairing or upsizing the line under I-20 is not like or cheap. So we just found that out 2 weeks ago. So that's now a priority. Because if we can't rectify that, then we do some kind of construction moratorium on 61 corridor, which is not the way out of this. The way out of this is to grow out of it with your growth being around your existing infrastructure. So we'll see. So, in addition to that, we have road issues, railroad issues, that y'all are aware of working downtown. But we also have a number of really good projects that have percolated, over time. So Connors Road Park, expanding Fullerville Soccer, Gold Dust Recreation Area, B-Plex Recreation Area, the walking trail, the Welcome Center, the downtown revitalization. But we got a lot of good ideas, cooking along somewhere. But my view right now is is if somebody gives me one more thing that I have to manage, I'm probably gonna either run out of the room or punch somebody. So, I'm not in a good place, personally. Plus, we just lost Coach Best, right, which has created some upheaval. And so I have an interesting set of expectations now that I've been here a year, because each of the elected officials are interested in a different set of things. So I'm as much of a drag on the Welcome Center as anybody, because I just can't deal with it, just on its face. And then to make that worse, I'm trying to do something that I think is crucial for us long-term, and that is I'm trying to get someone to create a comprehensive downtown plan. So when I got here, I inherited the RSVP, so y'all know that one, everybody knows that one. Plus I had ideas from Chris, ideas from the mayor, ideas from Vicki. I had my ideas. I have ideas from y'all and other downtown business owners. I have other staff with ideas. We had the Welcome Center idea. We've got Wick's Tavern. We've got what to do with this road. We've got the mill, we've got what to do with City Hall, what to do with the Avante building, Chris's idea about a hotel, the Dorsey Museum, a parking deck. What am I leaving out? What are you doing West Wilson? Nobody likes.
You're not doing a 38 yet. He's got more fingers in you.
So anyway, so you got all that going on. Plus we were doing the comp plan update, which you have to do every 5 years or something. So the company that we hired to do the comp plan update is AMEC, who's since been purchased. It's now Wood. And they have a guy on staff named Ron Huffman that's helping us with the comp plan. And I went to Ron and I said, hey, can you take all of these ideas and make them into a thing that we can agree on? He said, sure. He's been doing this for Ackworth for 20 years. So is somebody with some experience in doing this very thing over a long period of time, all right? In addition to that, the mayor and I get sideways with the railroad back in December when they blocked Claiborne and Connors for so long. So the mayor gets on media and he gets their attention and they start, treating us a little better. And then I start working on 61. Because one of the things we need to do is get 61 out of downtown without the help of the bypass, because in October, we found out the bypass was not funded. So we looked at all kind of things about 61, and the one that I was sort of fixated on was to add a crossing at Happy Valley. So the mayor and I worked on it, the council and I talked about it. So initially, the goal was to get rid of Cheese, right? Cheese is really stuck in the railroad's crawl because that's where you have trucks get stuck and potential train wreck. So we worked on the idea of closing Cheese and opening something at Happy Valley and trying to tie that back into 78. The problem with 78 is it's too low relative to Happy Valley, right? If you look at the topo, you got, 15 or 20 feet elevation change, which doesn't work good for tractor trailers, going from 78 up. So we tried all kinds of things with that. I had some engineers look at one route that the mayor and I liked, and it didn't work. Too expensive, took out too many homes. The council's not really big on condemnation, which, I get that. So we sort of backed off of that, but in that process, one of those potential routes went through the Welcome Center area. Because the farther east you go, the less elevation change you have. So the closer you get to the Welcome Center from either Peachtree or West Montgomery, the less problem you got with tractor trailers turning left off of 78 and immediately, you know, think of the ramp from 285 to 20 coming this way. You know, that's not what you want to do to a tractor trailer. So, from my perspective now, and I don't know how many of y'all have seen this, but you're welcome to come by my office. In my office is Ron's latest version of downtown. And it starts at the Welcome Center and goes to here, this intersection. And he's got some good ideas in there, which I think, you know, we're getting some consensus around. But in my view, until that thing becomes like universally adopted by everybody and finalized, that we shouldn't do anything in downtown, including the Welcome Center. Another thing that we're gonna have to do, and I don't know how many of you have talked to Mike about this, but Olive Tree doesn't have good water pressure. Nothing on this side, right, North Avenue going back to 61. But we have good pressure on that side because we have a line that runs from the Connors Road tank under the railroad. And then it runs back there, and then we have water that comes from the Walmart tank back over either underneath 20 or something. So like the Thomas Dorsey, South Carroll, you know, section of town is okay, this side's not. So we're gonna do Jack and Moore underneath the railroad right here in front of Don Rich and Olive Tree, and then run a 10-inch line under the railroad and the highway down to this intersection and behind us and down Church Street and then up North Avenue and tie in that, you know, loop all that together. When we do that, we're going to take the water line out of the front of these buildings and put it in the back so that we never ever in the future have a reason to dig this up. Because once we do this, if we find the money to do this, we really don't want to tear it up and do it again. Okay, so we need to put the water line in the back with where the sewer is. So anyway, so that's sort of where my head is. 14 months, I'm taking, you know, all these ideas, giving them to Ron as I hear them. He's trying to consolidate everything. He's proposing an island, a bulb, whatever, right here at this corner that would close Main on this side, you know, this end of Main, so that this is more pedestrian. And then there would be, anyway, it would fix a lot of the pedestrian issue right here is significant, right? I mean, I don't know who designed that thing the way it is, but it's awful. Y'all know that. So anyway, so he's working on that. He's working on the Welcome Center end and what to do down there with it. We've got to have at least one more long conversation with DOT about the crossing. They're willing to put in a crossing down there if we'll close 3. So all they want is Cheese, Jones, and Stone in return for 1, and I told them no, because we can't even live with 4, so I know we can't live with 2. But we gotta have a conversation with GDOT because they don't want to cross a railroad track except at 90 degrees, and that, if you remember Happy Valley right there, it sort of crosses like that. So we gotta work through that, or we're sort of dead on that one. And the bypass has been pushed out to 2027 and then back to 2024. But it's a 3-year build. So that means that even if we keep the money at 2024, we're not gonna have a road for 9 years. Which I think it's too late. Because downtown, 9 more years of tractor trailer, you know, downtown, I think is more than we can tolerate. And we don't want to wait on the Welcome Center 9 years or any of the other stuff that we talked about doing. So we're going to do the water line, which we can get out of the way, and then start working up North Avenue. But the other stuff, the railroad piece and the GDOT piece, are really, really not difficult, but sort of out of our control. So I'm not going to pretend to tell you that I have a solution to either one of those. I'm not going to talk the railroad into a non-90-degree crossing, and I'm not going to talk GDOT probably into earlier money. So somebody above us is going to have to champion that. We'll see. So I hope that helps you understand
I think it
what
does.
it is about the Welcome Center.
I just didn't know what we're supposed to be doing, just, yeah.
I'd like to do a lot of these, the things that the mayor calls, wants, the Congress Road Park, the Welcome Center, the walking trail, the, improving downtown. We just went to look at the gold miner statue, which is going to be fantastic when we get it, but, I'd rather have a really well-designed space. It's going to have a water feature to it. It'll be lit. So we can't just put it anywhere. Plus, it's a bunch of bonds. I don't want somebody to steal it. So anyway, so we're working on a whole bunch of stuff at one time, trying to figure it out. Tell me what else you want to know.
Well, I think you've answered most of our questions. I'm not anyway. I just didn't know whether we were supposed to be sitting here just putting our time, just waiting on the what, so we
Feel like you're twiddling your thumbs?
we don't know really what we're supposed to be doing, really.
Let me tell you about Mirror Lake Connector, because that's a thing too. So David Turner came to us, and that thing has been like a walking trail and then something else, and now it's a road. And so the idea got to the point where before I got here, we hired an engineering firm to design the route. So we hired BM&K out of Brazelton, and they have recommended a route that starts at Stone and North Carroll simultaneously and runs back into a roundabout, and then extends over the shoreline at the red light. Y'all got that? And then out of the roundabout also goes due north a block and ties into Darden, which you probably haven't driven on lately, that runs from Anderson south just before you get to the housing authority. So sort of at the top of the hill where it turns and changes names. And then what I'd like to see is for that road to continue over Anderson all the way to Stone, Old Stone, and run into the bottom of the hospital, sort of to the library side. And if we can do that, we can lay the trail along, at least along the piece that goes north to Old Stone, and then up into the library, the hospital, and all that area. If you remember looking at the walking trail plan, and then it would hook around, come down the railroad spur over near Randy Muller's business over there on the other side of North Dogwood, and then come back down the railroad track. So all that works together to me. So I just met with Ron today, and what I've asked him to do is to take his downtown plan, which is this intersection to the Welcome Center, and expand it to include the Olive Tree and Villarica Elementary, come south to catch West Wilson to include Wick's Tavern, and then to go up to Shoreline and up to the hospital. Right, so that's what that's all I'm asking to do. Right? And then if we can do that, that whole area would be a tax allocation district if we get the the redevelopment powers approved. And if we get the T-Splosh also approved, then we got a shot at enough money to build that road, put in water and sewer, do regional detention, and then that whole area right there from Old Stone to from Mirror Lake, Punkintown, back down to all developed really densely, like medical office, high-rise, multifamily, commercial, something that would generate enough property tax to pay for the bond payment on the TAD. So
I think personally, that's where we need to go, is from here to Mirror Lake, even though the Welcome Center's sitting there, yeah.
I didn't quite understand your description of the road. You said from here to Old Stone, or from here to...
It started at the end of Old Stone in North Carroll and go north and meet into a roundabout. And then from the roundabout would go northeast to Shoreline. So behind all...
Okay, so it's not just a straight shot like, so it's going
got a little wiggle to it.
to have a roundabout kind of in the middle of it.
It'd have a roundabout where these two roads meet. That way, when you come in from Mirror Lake, from Shoreline, you could take either one of these roads to get to 78. So you could either come in beside Olive Tree, or you could come in right here.
So
And then out of
have
that,
two legs on this end out.
Yeah.
it'd be shaped like a fork, right? Shoreline into the roundabout with two legs, and then it would have this one thing going north back up toward Old Stone. That just came up, that idea.
Now, on your water sewer problems, which have been known for years, Tom, you haven't discovered them. A lot of people have known about them, but we have been the recipients, I guess, of benign neglect on this. You can neglect for so long benignly, and it eventually comes back to bite you. And, I appreciate you guys addressing that. It has got to be done. One thing that you mentioned that kind of concerns, you said nothing would be done downtown until 61 is rerouted. And I'm not talking about just anything. I'm talking about a little lipstick downtown, not major stuff, but sometimes just a little bit of lipstick makes people feel better.
Yeah, I think you were specifically as it relates to the Welcome Center.
I don't want to do the Welcome Center till we have a plan, because I don't want to come before council having done the Welcome Center and say, well, we finally have an idea on 61, we need to knock down the Welcome Center. I don't think I'm going to survive that.
And the plan, the latest plan that I've seen doesn't take the Welcome Center out. He mentioned that also, but that, I don't want y'all to leave here and say, well, the Welcome Center's gone, because
But
that's...
the duplex may not survive.
Yeah.
I don't think the duplex should have survived this at the start, but, when that Welcome Center was first posed, it hit us cold as a body. We were told, hey, the city has purchased Butterballs. They're going to give it to you and loan you $500,000. Go out and do good. But you got to pay it back. Well, I did not see how that could ever happen with the Welcome Center. And I still don't see how it can happen. And I would hope that would not be one of the conditions going forward, that the DDA would have to come up with some way to pay the Welcome Center funding back, because I just don't see it happening in a reasonable way.
Most Welcome Centers are not revenue producing.
Yeah.
And certainly not revenue producing at the level of paying for the entire capital cost of the building.
Well, we didn't ask for that. That was handed to us. And it was my gift, yeah. But anyhow.
Tell them about the pink map on the wall underneath the one that you took down.
The water pressure?
Yeah.
So we've got, as Tom has mentioned, we've got areas of the city that are so undersized, the pipes are so undersized, and Mike has told me this for years when I go to Olive Tree, that he can't even put in a sprinkler system. And so it occurred to us, because we have folks coming to us now wanting to build out subdivisions, and we've got apartment complex folks that are coming to us and wanting to build. We don't have enough water pressure or volume. There's a difference in pressure and volume. Pressure is you put your thumb on the water hose, that's pressure. But if you take your thumb off, that's volume. And so that's the problem we have. And so we have to address that. And the map on his wall, when he said, Mayor, you got to come look at this, you would think it was a map that had, how old is that map?
Tell them what it is, and then I'll tell them how old it is.
It shows where the water lines run and where the low area pressures of the city are. It has it in red, marked in, everybody in this ward is in a low pressure area that there's low water volume. It was commissioned in,
It was printed in November of
2003.
and it's still true.
So nothing's been done since then. So let me sort of bring this, here's what I would love to see. First of all, I told y'all I was gonna start coming to your meetings, and I am. I'm gonna try to attend every meeting that I can, because the one thing that I want us all to do is work together as a team. And I think for those of you that went to the tour of the different cities, the one thing that everybody told me in common, because I didn't get to attend the last one, was, wow, the DDA and the city council really work well together. And I don't see that happening here. I see two different groups moving in great directions and having a lot of good ideas, and I'm going to take ownership of the elected official side and say, we're going to make that better. I'm going to, if we have to do workshops with the DDA, because downtown will always be the hub of Villa-Rica, always. That'll never change. And I want to see it improved. And the only way that we can do that is for everybody to be pulling in the same direction. Because I have heard, I moved here in 1998, in fact, I celebrated my 20th year here last month. But the one thing that I have heard over and over and over and over and over is the two problems that we have downtown, well, three problems, but the two main problems we have downtown are no parking and trucks right here at this intersection. And the Welcome Center doesn't address either one of those problems. So I'm glad to hear y'all say that that wasn't really y'all's idea. And I think we need a Welcome Center. I'm not saying, I don't want to be quoted as saying we don't need a Welcome Center, but it's not on the top of the list as far as things I have to see for downtown. I would love to see the DDA be very active on filling some of these buildings downtown. We just hired our second code enforcement officer. We're going to start to crack down on some of the code enforcement issues, and I won't even call them by name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. And we're going to make some of these businesses clean up their act, quite frankly, and make downtown look more, appealing. But with that, we also need to start thinking about what we're going to do about parking. There's a place that that's there that we need to look at. We, the city, the DDA, needs to look at that. We need to seriously have a conversation about how are you going to pay that money back. Because I don't think it can happen either. But that is the expectation that council has. I know. So, we need to look at that seriously and try to come to some consensus of what we're going to do to make that happen. But I want us to address parking downtown, I want us to address trucks downtown, and I want us to start making downtown more attractive, because I know it can be. Other communities are doing it. And we've got the folks that are moving here from other parts of the state and the country, and I want to maintain our downtown, character. I love downtown Villa-Rica, but I want to make it better. And the only way we're going to make it better is if we're all working together, the DDA and the city council and the mayor. And so I'm going to commit that to you, and I'm going to try to get the council to come to as many of these meetings as I can. And I would encourage you to go to the council meetings. And if you can't attend the council meetings, look at them online and you kind of see what's going on. And I'll tell everybody this as I'm closing. Villa-Rica Happenings is our newsletter. If you're not subscribed to it, please do that. That is absolutely the best document that we produce on a weekly basis, and it gets you up to date on everything that's going on. And I would encourage you, if y'all want to add things to the Villa-Rica Happenings, to get with Tom or get with Elisa, and you can get on that also. Thank y'all for having me. I'll be here every month. It's not like I'm not going to be coming back, but if you have any other questions, I'll answer them. I know you've got other things on the agenda, though.
Well, thank you for your time. I think you helped us all out, though.
I've got one more question for Tom. You mentioned that this TAD, if you can go through with it, would basically be along the road to Mirror Lake and all the way up to Stone. So that's much larger than I had envisioned it being. That allows you to actually take in a lot more space, of course, but a lot more potential businesses that may come out there, we hope. And water pressure is also important for that, isn't it?
Well, and it's scary. Does everybody know how TAD works? I mean, are there any questions? Because we've got that on the ballot, for November, and that's very important for the city's history. But the key to that, and this is something I didn't know, and I've been through these classes and probably slept through half of them, I guess, but for that TAD to work, the tax revenue that comes from that district has to be 300% of the amount that you borrow for the bond.
For the payment.
For the payment.
300% of the payment.
So think about that. So that's why you can't, just any place wouldn't qualify as a subject for a TAD. And that's why it's important for this development in particular, and there's a couple others that we're looking at. But to be able to pay that bond back, you have to have enough revenue
Yeah.
to pay back 300% of the bond.
So if you're doing, let's say you're borrowing 10 million for 10 years, the proposed development has got to generate 3 times the revenue of the proposed payment. Because what they're banking on is that your proposed development is going to develop at 1/3 of the plan, right?
On the repayment of bonds for a TAD, is it normally with a balloon type situation, or is it
No.
equal payments per year?
This is pretty much a fixed amount per year for the length of it. All right, so there's 2 things that I think you guys should work with us on, and Carl went on the road trip with us. The first thing that I took away from going to the 3 cities is we need to buy land. The piece of what we're talking about that's difficult to envision is how we attract enough density to fund the development. So if we've got to build a road to Shoreline and a road to Old Stone and put in water and sewer on both roads, and build a walking trail, and probably do regional detention, and that's on our nickel, that's a lot of property tax revenue. So the other way of making money there is we buy the land now. And it not only gives us the potential of making money as we sell it, because when we put those roads in and that water and sewer line, the regional detention and the walking trail, the value of that land triples or quadruples or even more, right? So that's one thing I think we should work on together. And we would supply the funds, y'all would hold the title, right? Second thing related to that is your DDA footprint needs to cover that whole area.
Expand
Does
another.
that make sense?
Which
So y'all need
does not do that.
You need to go to Old Stone.
Have to expand, right?
And the other idea I have about what y'all do is y'all need to come in the office and see this concept of downtown as it develops, because my goal right now would be for us to work on that plan until not only we have consensus among the community, but that people look at that and there's a wow to it. Because I think this is such a unique thing right here that if we take everybody's best ideas and consolidate them, that we could build something here that people from around the state would come look at and go, how the crap did you do that? How did you navigate GDOT? How did you navigate Norfolk Southern? You know what I'm saying? What'd you do with the infrastructure? Where did the money come from? I mean, we could become a place just like the 3 places we just went to, Duluth, Swanee, and
Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill. We could become that. You know, I mean, this is, there's not a downtown with this thing right here that I hate this, well, this intersection right here I hate. But I mean, the bones of it are just fantastic. So I think if y'all will start getting involved in that evolutionary process of gathering ideas and getting, communicating it to people and getting consensus, I think that should be part of your role as the DDA, to help us formulate it and to help us communicate it and sell it. Because I think if we do that, we could do something out here that nobody's got. And I just hope I live that long.
Any more questions?
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll move on down to update on bypass resolution and mailing list. Is that true, Bill?
Well, I asked for it, but I don't think there's anybody here to address it, right?
What's the question?
Resolution, bypass resolution and mailing list that we're supposed to be sending out. Chris had the list at one time. We don't know whether it's ever been mailed out yet or not.
Because I was looking into that.
What is it again?
We passed a resolution to send to all the elected officials that have any input into the GDOT funding.
Okay.
This was back last spring.
Jay Roberts and that whole crew of folks.
Well, everybody we can think of.
Right, okay.
And we wanted it done prior to the primary, but I don't think it ever got done. And I don't think there's much point in doing it right now, but if it hasn't been done,
Well, I would still do it. The guy that I've been told that we need to be talking to is Jay Roberts, because he controls the funding for GDOT. And then we have a new commissioner named Lynn Westmoreland, whose name you should know. He was a federal House of Rep guy from the south side of Atlanta. He's now our commissioner. Sam Welborn retired this summer, who was the former commissioner. So you got a new commissioner, so that should give us some opportunity, and the money guy.
well,
We have a new district engineer too, because the old guy retired this summer also.
I don't remember those being on the original list, so if you could give us those names and addresses, maybe we can add those to
Who's
it.
gonna do that? Sharon's gonna do that?
Chris should have a list somewhere before he left, or Janet Warren. Okay.
Actually, our attorney drew it up, but I don't know whatever happened to it.
Stacy Blackman.
Okay. We'll get with
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on down to number 3, recommendation to council on DDA appointments. I think we've got 2 that Carl and Ryan both said they would stay on, so we got applications from Charlene resigning because she's not even getting a place in Waco, so we need to replace one, isn't that right, Bill?
Well, we've actually got to ask them to stay.
Oh, yeah, I think they both agreed to, didn't they?
Yeah, which I think's good.
Yeah.
For both
Good
of them.
member, both of them, yes.
I think it's important to have people that have businesses downtown to be on the DDA. I think that's important.
And then we had applications from, let me get to the first one. Michael Young and Matthew Mahanahan, I believe is here for that, and Ellen Lynn McBrayer. And any recommendation from the board or questions?
Just in looking through them, I would recommend Matt Montahan, just because of his other involvement in things, and plus he's here tonight, so, but that would be my recommendation out of all of them.
We got a recommendation from Carl. Do we have a second on that one?
Yes, you do.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? So the DDA would like to recommend Carl, Ryan, and Matthew at the next council meeting. Sharon, do you handle that then? Can you handle that? Okay.
Just getting it on the agenda for the council meeting.
Janet can back Monday.
How soon does it have to, when does the next council, it's falling in twice a month now, isn't it?
tonight is the deadline for
This Thursday night, so you'll need to do that then, right?
October 9th, the next council.
Okay, so you can handle that, Sharon.
Carl, Ryan, and Matt.
Matt, yeah. Okay, that's our recommendation to them. They can decide what they want to do, right?
Yep.
All right, we'll move on down to number 5, new business. Any new business?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time for it, but I'd like to encourage this board to maybe meet, whether it be an executive session or some other time, to kind of readdress and take another look at our participation in the Welcome Center. I think with the challenges that Tom's brought forward, the concerns with the water, the 78, the railroad, and then of course the possibility or probability of us being able to repay $500,000, I think it may be time to reconsider and at least address, have a conversation around it.
So we'll probably need an attorney for that one, maybe.
I don't know, if we were to start with, it may be something to start with, just have a conversation.
Maybe on the next meeting then. Okay, all right, we can do that, can't we?
I don't think I ever saw any kind of a statement written on paper that, here it is, DDA, go out and do good. I just think that's all been verbal in the past. And so I don't know that we really need to do anything since there's not a paper trail giving it to us anyway, as far as I know.
I haven't seen one either, if there was a resolution or an agreement to start with. I just know what, but I do think it's important to Ryan's point that we at least be on the same accord as to how we're moving on this. And, Tom and I did our best job tonight to lay everything out for you. But, the council votes, I don't vote, I don't have a vote. Tom obviously don't have a vote, so if it's the desire of DDA that we not move forward on the Welcome Center at this point in time, then I think the council needs to know that. And likewise, if you feel like that we do need to move forward on the Welcome Center, then I think the council would like to hear that also. So I'll leave that to y'all. We just laid the facts as we know them out.
I think what's even more important than that is to decide not only to not move forward with it, but to have a direction, not just park it on the back burner. If we're not going to move forward, if we're talking, I believe Tom said 9 years possibly for some of these projects to come to fruition, does it make sense to let that building sit there for 9 years? I know a considerable amount of money's already been spent on it.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I think we should, as a body, support the city manager and the mayor and the council as deeming what they need to do best for the city of Villa Rica, period, because that's what we all need to do. We need to look at what's best for the city. So, I think I would like to make a motion that we support the city manager and the staff and the mayor and council in their decision-making process.
We can support them in their decision. Their decision was just to put it on hold anyway, so it's been on hold and we're just going to keep putting it on hold, so.
Yeah, we haven't officially supported it in the past.
Yeah, I just don't want it to think that we're making the decision just to go bulldoze it and be done with it, and, that's not happening. We're just going to let it sit there longer, and we understand that, there's other things that are more important right now. We understand there's other things more important, but I don't want to see us just give up on it completely. I just want to see it put on hold until the more important stuff's taken care of. Just go along with what Tom was saying, but I just want to make sure that it's not something that's just completely, gotten rid of.
Right. Well, that was a motion. Do we have a second, Leon?
I have a question. Are we saying that we're going to set aside that money, just hold that money for 9 years?
We don't have that.
We don't have any money.
We don't have that $450,000.
That's the city was going to loan it to us, and so we'd have to pay them back. Yeah, we don't have the money.
I do think it's important that we do support council and mayor, but at the same time, I also think it's important that at some point we discuss kind of where we see it going, our recommendation, and not leave it on the back burner for an unknown amount of time or 9 years.
Well, we had a motion from Bill, man.
We did. A motion for what?
To support the city manager, the mayor, and the city council in their planning to benefit the citizens of Villa Rica.
I think that should always be a given, so I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor? All right, moving on down to number 6, public comment. think we've had a lot of that tonight. Items for future agenda? No executive session? Do I have a motion to adjourn the DDA meeting?
Do we have, as far as items for future agenda, do we have, has that been noted for us as a body to discuss, kind of the plan for the Welcome Center?
Yeah, we're gonna put that on for next month.
Like that.
All right.
I'd like to see you talk about expanding your DDA territory. I'd like to see y'all talk about doing some land and building acquisition. And y'all would need to do that in executive session.
And we would need our attorney around too, so she would have to actually come to a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, that sounded very mean. I didn't mean to sound like that. Sorry. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. I know.
So you got that for future agenda then? Ron got that one. And do we have anything else for future agenda?
At some point, maybe not next month, but we need to start talking about the location for the minor statue. We went and looked at it. It looks great. If you haven't seen it on my Facebook page, it looks really, really good. But it's supposed to be done, what's she say, March, maybe at the earliest?
6 months.
So 6 months out. So we've got some time to think about it, but everybody needs to be thinking about where we're gonna put that. So,
We've been thinking about that for several years.
I moved it 2 or 3 times.
the lot's getting tired.
The sculptor said the same thing.
Are there proposed locations that are already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to Ron about trying to, make sure that it's incorporated someplace. Because there's, electric, water, pedestrian, a lot of considerations about where it's going.
Security camera.
Yeah. All right, then, we got the item for future agenda, we don't have executive, we have motion to adjourn then.
Yes.
All right, got a second? Second. Motion and a second. All right, we'll close that meeting and call the CBD meeting to order. Has everybody taken a chance to look over those minutes?
I didn't have any.
Here you go. That was one that had one correction, or I believe it was, on the Frontier Rodeo. Didn't you vote against that, Bill?
I did.
Okay, so we need to, yeah.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
So did you get that, Sharon? So just in case Tracy doesn't.
That on the Frontier Rodeo, Bill voted not to fund the money for the $500.
Yeah, 'cause it says it was unanimous.
Unanimous. All right, we have a motion for the minutes.
I'll make a motion with that one change to approve the minutes.
Motion with one change, and are these both the same, Carl?
Yeah, they're all the same.
All the same, all right.
Take one. Yep.
All right, Carl got the financial report.
Did we approve the minutes? I made a motion for it.
Okay, made a motion to approve the minutes, have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor then? It's unanimous.
Okay.
Now the financial report.
Yeah, y'all have financials just showing what it looks like through the year so far, so January 1 until now. With the tax collections that we received, so we are up to date in the tax collections now. Our last meeting, we were a couple months behind, but we've got them all now. And then where it's been spent, if you have any questions about any of these items, I can answer them for you. I've got the detail of where it all went, but pretty much everything's going towards, advertising the city, promoting the city. That's what the money was supposed to be spent for, so. And we did just give this to the city recently because Sarah asked for it because she's got to fill out a report for the state tourism board to show them that the money's going to where it's supposed to. So I gave her that.
Doing a good job, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Yes, sir. All right, got any old business? Any new business? This must be Sharon's.
The advertisement that we got going on, this time to renew. So, this is the Georgia Guide, we always advertising that, this is the state travel guide. You see the numbers, It went up slightly from last year, which, was expected. But, the other is Rome. This is the group travel guide, and we did advertising that as well last year. We want to try and keep that going as well because the groups are what will bring in money, especially at the Gold Museum. And since we have the only attraction, that's what we're advertising to get those groups, motor coach and all, into that, and student groups as well. And then the Georgia Eats is the second most popular magazine at the State Bigs. And we want to do half a page in that. And Tom is signing off on everything until we get somebody to replace Chris.
And we did this last year too?
Yes.
Just coming up for renewal there.
It's coming up for renewal.
And
And with this guide, the Georgia guide, with this, we also get a listing, a free listing on the state website, and they just redesigned their website. So we got to put one of our restaurants as a feature, and we did the olive tree because they work so well. And we do Uncork's on there as well, but the olive tree was one of the features, the main features on there.
So this is roughly $11,500 total?
That's what, yes.
Roughly that.
We have 30,000 in the bank right now.
So we got enough to spend on it then, right, Carl?
Yeah. And this is, this is one we've done in the past, and it's just because of the amount of the expense, it has to come before us to approve it.
So we need a motion from somebody to approve these.
So moved.
I've got a motion, have a second. Motion and a second, all in favor? All right, unanimous, all right. Moving on to number 6, public comment. All right.
Have you talked to them about the increase in revenue? All right, so we've been budgeting about $180 grand in hotel and motel revenue, and y'all spend a portion of that, a part goes in the general fund, and a part goes to product development for tourism. And we went to the legislature before I got here to have the rate increase to 8%, which is the max that you can do in Georgia. So that went into effect August the 1st, the summer of 17. The revenue didn't really go up. So, during my first few months, I talked to Sarah about it, and so we decided to take to council a recommendation to hire an audit firm that specializes in that GMA promotes, right? Georgia Municipal Association, they promote that statewide, all the municipalities in the state, and so council approved it. That went into effect January 1, and right off the bat, revenue just, and so we're looking at $300 grand now in revenue, same businesses, nothing's changed, same rate.
It's always been strange.
And we actually had discussed that. We knew about that audit that was going on, so yeah.
Your piece, right?
And we've noticed that too.
From say getting maybe 7 or 8,000
I can tell you,
a month to, we're like doubled.
It's almost double, 18 to 30, right? But anyway, I just want to make sure y'all knew, because that's something you need to plan, in your annual spending. It's a good problem.
How do you really separate tourism and DDA and Main Street when you get right down to it?
How long do you like?
I haven't been spending any time contemplating that.
Well, we were told early on, no, you've got to spend it on tourism. Well, what's tourism? That's getting people downtown. Well, what's downtown? That's DDA, Main Street. It's so intertwined that I don't think you can really separate the two out.
So Main Street is very limited geographically. The tourism piece is citywide, because it includes Pine Mountain.
Can be placed.
But really, what we're trying to do is to get people downtown. So you really want them to go to Stockmore Park,
Come downtown to
get
eat.
on the train, and then come down here and eat. So it is interconnected,
Sure.
but Main Street does not get outside of whatever the Main Street
District, yes.
footprint is. So it is pretty limited, and that is a Georgia program, a part of. So DDA has its own, authorizing legislation, and Main Street is a thing that somebody created back in the day, and there's, 75 Main Street programs in the state or whatever. So that's about what I
And really the difference is in the powers that each of them have too. There's certain things tourism can do, certain things DDA can do. So,
Always have to expand outside. You're literally marketing Villa Rica, not just in Villa Rica. You have to take it outside. Yeah.
and back to Tom's point.
Something for them to come to. You've got to have something to market.
And that's where you can put in tourism product development. That's where the product development money comes in as well, is helping to develop something that they will come to. So putting money into Pine Mountain Gold Museum, that's like product development. So that's building on what we already have to bring people to Villa Rica.
How about facades on existing buildings to make them more attractive to tourists?
I have to look at because it's a long list of, there's some do's and don'ts, but
I would think we need just to do that through the city. Through economic development or whatever, through y'all or however. Not so much hotel motels.
And back to Tom's point, February was $4,500 that we got. That was before we saw the change. March was $12,000, then $15,000, then $14,000, then $13,000. So it tripled, more than tripled, once after that audit.
All right.
We get hotel motel right now at Maple Street Lodge.
All right, moving on to number 7, agenda future agendas. We don't have an executive. I have a motion to adjourn. Motion. So moved. All right, we are through at 7:22, Ms. Tracy.
And Sharon, I'll get you a check for this Atlanta Magazine.
Thank y'all for coming tonight. Helped us out a whole lot. That's supper time, right? Late supper. Sherry, don't forget your phone up here now.
Or is it an early breakfast?
There you go.